You've been lied to. By culture. By influencers. By the voices in your head. They told you to wait. Get the degree first. Build a career. Stack the savings. Buy the house. Get your life together. And then, maybe then, you'll be ready for love. But here's the truth nobody wants to say. While you're waiting to be ready, life is passing you by. And the data? It's screaming at us. According to the Pew Research Center's 2024 study on dating in America, 63% of adults aged 25 to 40 say they're delaying serious relationships. Why? Career goals, financial instability, personal growth. Sound responsible, right? Mature, smart. But here's what the same study found. Those same people report higher levels of loneliness, lower life satisfaction, and deeper regret as they age. Because waiting for the perfect time to love someone, there's no perfect time. Let's talk about the longest-running study on human happiness ever conducted. The Harvard Study of Adult Development started in 1938. Over 85 years of data, tracking the same people from youth to old age. They wanted to know one thing. What makes people happy? Not what we think makes us happy. What actually does? Wealth? No. Fame? No. Career success? Not even close. The number one predictor of lifelong happiness? Close relationships. Not perfect relationships. Not Instagram-worthy relationships. Just real, deep, consistent human connection. Dr. Robert Waldinger, the study's current director, said it plainly. The people who were the most satisfied in their relationships at age 50 were the healthiest at age 80. Not the richest, not the most successful, the most connected. And here's the kicker. Those relationships didn't start when people had it all figured out. They started in the mess, in uncertainty, in struggle. Because love isn't a reward for success. It's a partnership through the journey. But modern culture has flipped that. Social media has turned relationships into performance art. Curated, filtered, fake. According to the American Psychological Association's research on social media and relationships, heavy social media use is linked to a 33% increase in unrealistic partner expectations. People scroll through highlight reels, engagement photos in front of luxury cars, couples on European vacations, diamond rings, designer outfits, perfect skin, and they think that's what love is supposed to look like. So they wait. They wait until they can afford that lifestyle, until they look like that, until they have enough to offer. But that's not love. That's marketing. Real love? It's two people in a cramped apartment splitting ramen because that's all they can afford. It's driving a beat-up car to a free park because that's the date budget. It's laughing through the struggle because you're not alone in it. But we've been taught to be ashamed of that. We've been taught that you can't be in a relationship unless you're financially stable, unless you have your career figured out, unless you're whole. And that's killing us. The U.S. Census Bureau reports that the median age for first marriage is now 30 for men and 28 for women, the highest it's ever been. A generation ago, it was 23 and 21. What changed? Economic pressure, yes. Student debt, yes. But also cultural messaging. We've been told that marriage is the finish line, the thing you do after you've arrived. But the research says the opposite. A study published in the Journal of Marriage and Family analyzed couples who married during periods of financial hardship, unemployment, debt, economic uncertainty. And here's what they found. Those couples reported 19% higher long-term relationship satisfaction than couples who married during financial stability. Why? Because they built together. They faced adversity as a team. They didn't have the luxury of keeping score. When you have nothing, you can't pretend. You can't perform. You just love, or you don't. And that reveals character faster than any amount of financial security ever could. But instead, we're told to wait. And while we wait, we're dying inside. The Cigna Loneliness Index from 2024 found that 58% of Americans report feeling lonely. That's nearly 6 in 10 people. The highest it's ever been. And it's not just older adults. It's young people. People in their 20s and 30s. The most connected generation in history is the loneliest. Why? Because we replaced real relationships with digital interactions. We swipe instead of speak. We text instead of talk. We curate instead of connect. And dating apps? They've turned romance into a shopping experience. Stanford University's study, How Couples Meet and Stay Together, found that 39% of heterosexual couples now meet online. But here's the problem. Dating apps are designed to keep you swiping, not to help you find someone. They profit from your loneliness, from your hope, from your desperation. They gamify connection. They reduce human beings to profiles, to photos, to bios, to metrics. And they whisper the same lie. Keep looking. Someone better is just one swipe away. So people never commit. They never invest. They keep one foot out the door, just in case. And they end up alone. Not because there aren't good people out there, but because they've been conditioned to see people as options, not as partners. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. But I can't afford to be in a relationship right now. Says who? Who told you that love costs money? Yes, weddings cost money. Yes, raising kids costs money. Yes, building a life together requires resources. But falling in love, walking with someone through the hardest season of your life, that's free. Some of the greatest love stories in history started with nothing. Couples who met during the Great Depression. Immigrants who built lives together from scratch. Young couples who got married with $200 in their pocket and a dream. They didn't wait for stability. They created it together. And here's what the research shows. According to the Knott's Real Wedding Study, couples who started with less financial security reported feeling more grateful, more connected, and more resilient. Because they had to be. They couldn't outsource their problems. They couldn't buy their way out of conflict. They had to communicate, compromise, collaborate, and that built a foundation. Meanwhile, couples who had it all from the start, they struggled more with entitlement, with independence, with partnership, because they never had to need each other. And relationships, real ones, are built on need, not financial need, emotional need, the need to be seen, known, loved. But we've been conditioned to see need as weakness. Work on yourself first. You can't love someone else until you love yourself. You have to be whole on your own. Those sound wise, but they're half-truths. Yes, you need self-awareness. Yes, you need to address your trauma. Yes, you need to take responsibility for your own healing. But the idea that you have to be perfectly healed, perfectly stable, perfectly whole before you're worthy of love, that's a lie. Because none of us are whole. None of us have it all figured out. And if we wait until we do, we'll be waiting forever. Here's what the research actually shows. The National Opinion Research Center at the University of Chicago found that people in long-term relationships, even imperfect ones, report significantly higher life satisfaction than perpetually single people. Not because marriage is magic, but because humans are wired for connection. We're not meant to do life alone. And yet, an entire generation is choosing loneliness. Not because they want to, but because they've been told they're not ready. Let me tell you a story. A couple in their early 20s, both working minimum wage jobs, living paycheck to paycheck. No savings, no security, no plan. They met at work, started talking, fell in love. Everyone told them to wait. You're too young. You can't afford it. Focus on your careers first. They got married anyway, in a small ceremony, with borrowed rings and a potluck reception. 40 years later, still married, still in love, still grateful they didn't wait. Because they built everything together. The house, the careers, the life. They didn't wait for the foundation to be laid. They laid it side by side. Now compare that to another story. A successful professional in their late 30s. Great career, great income, great life. Single. They spent their 20s building, climbing the ladder, achieving goals. They told themselves, I'll date seriously when I'm ready. But now, they're lonely, they're exhausted, and everyone they meet feels surface. Because the people willing to wait around for someone successful are often the people attracted to success, not to the person. And the ones who would have loved them in the struggle, they're already married to someone else. Someone who didn't wait. That's the risk nobody talks about. When you wait for the perfect time, you might miss the right person. Because the right person doesn't wait for your highlight reel. They show up in your blooper reel, in your mess, in your uncertainty. And they say, I'm in. Let's figure it out together. But if you're not open to that, if you're too focused on being ready, you'll miss them. The Journal of Social and Personal Relationships published research on timing and relationships. They found that people who delayed relationships for career or financial reasons were more likely to experience regret in their 40s and 50s. Not because their careers weren't successful, but because success felt hollow without someone to share it with. And by the time they were ready to prioritize relationships, the dating pool had changed. People were more guarded, more cynical, more damaged. The ones who were open, trusting, hopeful, they'd already found someone. So here's the uncomfortable truth. Your lowest point might be the right time. Not because you're desperate, but because you're real. When you're struggling, you can't fake it. You can't perform. You can't hide behind money or status or image. You're just you. And the person who loves you then loves you. Not your potential. Not your highlight reel. You. That's the kind of love that lasts. But it requires vulnerability. It requires honesty. It requires letting someone see you before you've arrived. And that's terrifying. Because what if they leave? What if they reject you? What if you're not enough? Here's the truth. Some will leave. Some will reject you. Some won't see your worth. But the right one? They'll stay. They'll see you. And they'll choose you, mess and all. That's what a soulmate is. Not someone who meets you at the finish line, but someone who runs the race with you. So stop waiting. Stop waiting for the promotion. Stop waiting for the savings account. Stop waiting to be perfect. Because perfection is a myth, and the clock is ticking. The Harvard study is clear. Relationships are what matter most. Not someday, today. So if you're single and you're waiting, ask yourself, what are you really waiting for? Permission? You have it. Stability? You'll build it together. Worthiness? You already have it. Don't procrastinate your soulmate. Because the right person isn't waiting for your best season. They're ready to walk with you through your worst. And that's worth more than all the money in the world.